Hello and welcome to Monday's ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the southeast.
Coming down your way, mate. X-ray Charlie.
Immigration officers target food delivery drivers in a crackdown on illegal workers. 60 people are arrested. One Deliveroo driver in Sussex tells us it's a big problem.
He can't drive here, they don't have insurance, they don't have a drive license, they don't have papers.
Anger over the 11 plus as 60 children who passed it are refused places in grammar schools. Criticism today of Kent County Council.
Also tonight, the pain of penalties for courageous Brighton. Their manager talks to us after their FA Cup heartbreak.
7, 6.
But friends say he was a definite 10. Star judge of Strictly, Len Goodman, dies in a Kent hospice just days before his 79th birthday. Good evening. There have been 60 arrests in a week-long crackdown on delivery drivers working illegally.
Home Office teams arrested drivers working for food delivery companies, with 44 of those detained, now waiting to be removed from the UK.
The Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, says the government will stop the abuse of the country's laws and borders. But one charity says more migrants should be allowed to work legally. Malcolm Shaw has our report.
It's coming down your way, mate.
On the streets of Brighton, immigration enforcement officers are on patrol looking for delivery drivers working here illegally, a problem they say is increasing and often linked to more serious offences.
We're dealing with highly developed organised crime groups here who are experts in facilitation and human trafficking, and they're the groups that we've got to tackle. It's not just about the low-level immigration crime. We have to go after the organised immigration crime groups behind the facilitation.
Here, officers stop a student from India who they suspect is working in breach of his visa conditions.
On Tuesday, how long did you work for?
We've clearly established that, he's a single male with no medical issues, no mental health issues, then we will be looking to detain him and then proceed with possible removal.
It's deeply frustrating for drivers working here legally.
We have too many people without documents here working, he can't drive here, they don't have insurance, they don't have a drive license, they don't have papers.
Employers have a legal duty to check people's immigration status before taking them on. Deliveroo told us all Deliveroo riders must have the right to work in the UK in order to have an account with the company. Deliveroo takes a zero-tolerance approach towards any rider who fails to meet their legal obligations when working with us. If a rider is found to be without the rights to work in the UK, we will stop working with them with immediate effect. But a charity representing migrants says the current system needs changing.
I think it would be great if people could work while their asylum claims are being processed. We hear so much about the cost of putting people in hotels, but of course, if they were working, they could get their own accommodation and there would be no cost. So that would be a win for everybody. And it would be so much better for their mental health. Instead of them sitting around all the time doing nothing, they would be working, being productive and getting on with their lives.
Of the 60 people arrested, 44 are now being detained by the Home Office pending their removal from the UK. Malcolm Shaw, ITV News, Brighton.
The Court of Appeal has begun hearing a legal challenge against plans to send asylum seekers to Rwanda. The charity Asylum Aid will be making its case. A previous legal bid failed in December. The government wants to deport to Africa those who arrive in small boats on the Kent and Sussex coasts. The Commons will debate the issue further on Wednesday.
A Folkestone man who offered waste disposal services on social media only to fly tip the rubbish has been fined by magistrates. Lee Nelson dumped furniture, mattresses, a bed base and electrical appliances in Kent after charging £90 online to dispose of the items.
61 children who passed the 11 plus in northwest Kent have been denied places at grammar schools, reducing many to tears and leaving parents bitterly disappointed.
Well, the figure was uncovered through a Freedom of Information request by a retired grammar school head teacher who says the situation can only worsen as the creation of Ebbsfleet Garden City increases the population in that part of Kent. With more, here's John Ryle.
Joshua Shergill passed his 11 plus with flying colours. He and his father saw a place at Gravesend Grammar School as the perfect fit for the next 7 years of his education. They'll never forget the day he passed the exam with one of the highest scores possible, or the crushing blow that followed.
We were extremely disappointed, not only for the system letting us down, but actually also seeing our son in tears as soon as he realised. And this was at the same time when he got to learn very quickly that all of his fellow class children got their schools, their grammar school choices.
If you pass your 11 plus, the council should let you have a place in your chosen grammar schools, because if they don't let you have a place, that means you won't particularly expand and get pushed, so you could do your best of the best.
Joshua is one of 61 11 plus successes denied grammar school places in northwest Kent. A shock statistic revealed through a Freedom of Information request lodged by a former grammar school head and education campaigner, Peter Reid.
2 years ago, I forecast this was coming, and it's come. Kent County Council has been putting in additional places, but clearly nowhere near enough. And 61 who didn't get places this year, it's going to be even worse for the next few years as the Ebbsfleet Garden City continues to develop.
We're today, this year, looking at 61 local children who are grammar qualified not being able to get in. That problem was 28 children last year, so it's clearly increasing. I have no doubt that if we continue with things as they are, we'll be in excess of 100 children in the same position next year.
In a statement today, Kent County Council says schools have their own admissions policies over which the County Council has no control. It adds that creating a new grammar school would be unlawful under current legislation. It says it's therefore pursuing solutions to the challenges in northwest Kent by the creation of satellite grammar school facilities. But that would come too late for Joshua, whose only hope now is an appeal with a slender chance of success. John Ryle, ITV News, Hartley.
A Gurkha soldier from Canterbury who's attempting to become the world's first double above-knee amputee to conquer Everest has arrived at base camp. Harry Buddha Magar lost both his legs in an explosion in Afghanistan. He's made it his mission to attempt to reach the almost 9,000-metre summit in Nepal.
A grey seal has been spotted coming ashore in Brighton and Hove. The Sussex Dolphin Project says the adult male is malnourished and not in the best of health and is asking people to keep their distance. It may need to be rescued by the local Marine Life Divers Rescue Service based in Uckfield.
You're watching ITV News Meridian here in the southeast. Still to come.
Countdown to the coronation. We meet the local milliner who says if you want to get ahead, get a hat.
And while the weather may be changeable, one thing is for certain, the bluebells are really coming through. I'll be back with some of your pictures and, of course, the full forecast.
You can find more on today's top stories by going to our website, itv.com/Meridian. You can call us, 0808 1010 095 is our number. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter and on Instagram. Now, the number of babies conceived using donated sperm has tripled in the last 15 years. However, there are concerns over a lack of ethnic diversity among the donors available at licensed clinics in the UK.
Well, it's thought that, as a result, there's been a rise in people looking abroad or online for a donor to match the ethnicity they want. Experts warn that can cause complications. With more, here's Kevin Ashford.
Lou Renner has always wanted to have a child and decided to try to conceive using a sperm donor. But because she wanted the donor to be black, it's a search that's taken 2 years, and she's not alone in finding it hard.
It was just personal preference. Obviously, my father's of mixed origin and myself, so it's just something I wanted. Because I'm part of a group with other black girls, I'm hearing how they're struggling, which might mean that they'll miss the opportunity.
Lou finally found a clinic near her that had sperm available from a black donor. The clinic had imported it from America. The shortage of ethnically diverse donors of both eggs and sperm here is countrywide. This fertility clinic in Brighton says it's an issue they face too.
If you've got a particular need or a particular wish to have a donor from an ethnic background, there is definitely a shortage in the UK. Certainly in my practice here in Sussex, we don't have a lot of people from ethnic minorities coming forward to donate. So it can be really quite sort of emotionally challenging if you're trying to create the perfect family.
According to the Human Fertilisation and Embryology Authority, more than 70,000 children have been conceived using donor eggs and sperm over the last 30 years. However, ethnic minorities are underrepresented amongst donors. The HFEA says only 5% of egg donors were Asian, compared to 10% of an age-matched population, and only 2% of sperm donors were black, compared to 4% of the population. Nonnie Martins has written and broadcast about her experience of fertility treatment as a black woman. She says it's a subject that needs to be talked about more to improve the situation.
The chances of somebody accessing treatment, number one, is one issue, but then the chance of somebody going to donate their sperm or egg is a whole nother layer to that. And then we've got also superstitious kind of attitudes towards some of these things, that you're giving your seed, as it were, to a different person that you don't know, and that's not something that's normalised in our community. So there's so many hurdles, I guess, to go through culturally before we can get to a place where there'll be enough for people who want to have children.
Because of the shortage, many people from ethnic minorities have gone abroad to seek donors. The HFEA says in some cases that can cause problems.
If you use donated services in the UK, you get all the protections of using a licensed clinic, but you can also do things like later on in life, both the donor and the donor-conceived child can find out information about their donor. Now, depending on one of the problems of using imported material going abroad is that crucially many of those protections are not available.
The authority hopes that by discussing the issue, more donors will come forward and improve the chances of people from every background who are trying to have children. Kevin Ashford, ITV News.
Now the ITV Evening News continues with the national and international news at 6:30. With more details for us this evening, here's Mary Nightingale.
Coming up on the programme, fears for thousands of British citizens left stranded in Sudan. As fighting there rages on, the government warns help for those left behind will remain severely limited until a ceasefire is reached. Here, dental costs are rising by more than 8%, yet a quarter of people say they already can't afford treatment. And tributes pour in for King of the Ballroom Len Goodman, who's died at the age of 78. Do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Yes, we'll have our own tributes to Len Goodman coming up very shortly. But before we do, the King's coronation is, as you probably know, less than 2 weeks away. And although not many have been invited to the actual ceremony, there is nothing stopping any of us dressing to impress.
No, Matt, one milliner from Tunbridge Wells, says Coronation Day will see some very interesting hats being worn by the royals and guests alike. With more, here's Tom Savides.
Which one of these takes your fancy? Coronation Day will see a variety of hats on show as King Charles is crowned. Catherine Elizabeth from Tunbridge Wells has been a milliner for 20 years. She has some top tips for the royals on the big day.
This is the King's coronation and there will be plenty of royals there. What hats would you recommend?
Well, I would recommend for the Princess of Wales this hat here, because this is great. It's just sitting on the side so everybody can still sort of meet and greet. You've got the flowers and the flowers on the other side, so this is very popular. And then for the Queen Consort, maybe something like this, which is nice and blue and it's not too extravagant. It's not too...
Although she's not a royal milliner, Catherine has met the Queen Consort twice. And her design, called the Bucklebury hat, was chosen for a doll of Kate, the Princess of Wales, when she got engaged. A nod to the village where she was brought up.
They were wanting a commemorative doll, and I had this hat in a larger form, and I had to make it in a miniature form for them.
That's not a hat, it's Reggie the cat. But some of these designs will set you back anything from £250 to £1,000. Some have appeared on guests at Royal Ascot.
Hats can take from 1 day to 1 week to make. So when I have clients in, I obviously have to see them. I mock the hat up. I'll see them again a few weeks later, and then we'll see them again for the final fitting and make sure. So it's like having a suit made. How about we add some cinema to it?
As well as running her business, Catherine has set up an academy to teach others the art of hat making, and it seems to have gone down well.
You can just go crazy with hats, and you can keep it sort of more demure if you really want to, but I'm kind of more along the lines of crazy.
I love hats. I've been wearing hats for quite a while.
Do you wear the hats that you make?
Yes. Yeah, I try to. They're not everyday hats though, unfortunately.
So there's nothing stopping you from cutting a bit of cloth and getting out a needle and thread ahead of the coronation. Your handiwork could lead to one of these colourful little numbers. Tom Savidas, ITV News, Tunbridge Wells.
They're beautiful, but all the practice in the world wouldn't make me create something like that.
They are good though, aren't they?
They're really good.
Very pretty.
Now we've got Andrew with us. Andrew, only one place to start. What happened this weekend? Brighton put up a courageous fight, didn't they?
Yeah, you know, a fantastic fight. And as Brighton's manager said to us afterwards, football can be so cruel. And there is no crueler way to lose an FA Cup semi-final than on penalties. Brighton boss Roberto De Zerbi said his team were the better side during the match. But when that ended goalless, there was the pain of the penalty shootout.
Zero Accounting Software sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
The Seagulls flocked to Wembley, hoping for their first ever win here, at the 5th time of asking. The Seagulls taking on the Red Devils, the Albion fans so excited as the match approached.
Nerves, overwhelming nerves, mate. I didn't get any sleep last night. It's one of those, I haven't been able to concentrate on anything all week. This is the one.
We're brilliant and this is it, we're going to win. I think it just shows how far we've come in such a short space of time, and we're so proud of the club. I think today could be our time, finally.
What do you think the score is going to be today?
4-0.
4-0 to Brighton. After 120 goalless minutes, it all came down to the dreaded penalty shootout. And Brighton brilliantly scored their first 6 spot kicks. But sadly, it was local lad Solly March who didn't, leaving United to secure an FA Cup final place against rivals Manchester City.
The team hurting tonight then?
Of course, yeah. The team's going to be hurting, yeah. We were hurting in the change room, but we've got to pick ourselves up, hold our heads high and go again.
We are disappointed for the result. We are sad for our fans. I think we deserve to win and we are sad only for the result. We played in a fantastic way.
Huge disappointment for the Seagulls, but the team now turn their attention to securing their highest ever Premier League finish and possibly a place in Europe.
Andrew, it was so difficult to watch, even for a neutral, sort of football fan. What was it like? You were at Wembley. What was it like, the atmosphere down there?
It was devastating, to tell the truth. I mean, before the game, the fans were so excited. Every Brighton fan I spoke to was predicting a Brighton win. There's been such a brilliant season. Then that heartache of the penalty shootout. And the fans, again, brilliant throughout. They stayed on, they applauded the team. They were so proud of the team. But, the bottom line is sometimes being a football fan is just a bit rubbish.
It's not easy,
to be honest. Though Crawley fans may not agree after a huge win this weekend against relegation rivals Hartlepool. It means with just 2 games to go, Crawley are all but safe in the fight against the drop into non-league football. It was striker Dom Telford who put in a man-of-the-match performance, scoring twice to help Crawley secure only their 2nd away win of the season. Also in League Two, Gillingham scored early through Timothy Diang, and then very, very late to draw at promotion chasing Bradford. Ollie Hawkins with the equaliser in the 97th minute. The Gills certainly with plenty of momentum going into next season. Now, one football fan made a longer trip than most by foot to support his team this weekend. John Tennyson spent the week walking from his home in Nottingham all the way to Maidstone in memory of his dad. Sarah Gom has more.
John Tennyson completes his 160-mile walk in memory of the father who used to accompany him to games. Carrying his dad's ashes, Notts County fan John set off for Maidstone United on Monday and arrived in time for his team's last away game of the season at the Stones Gallagher Stadium.
Never thought I'd get here, but I've done it. Yeah, it's the wind down now. It's emotional. No, my knees, my hips, my knees, my calves, my thighs, my ankles, just shot, completely shot.
John raised money along the way for Cancer Research UK after his dad Daryl was diagnosed with the disease. This, he says, is one last journey for the both of them.
It's absolutely amazing. I don't think anybody could do it. We didn't think he'd do it, if we're honest, but fair play to him. He proved us all wrong and he's absolutely achieved his challenge. Amazing stuff.
It's for pancreatic and stomach cancer, which my dad passed away with in May last year. And if I can just raise a little bit of money towards helping solve this, then yeah, brilliant. To see people and to have people come up and just congratulate me and shake my hand, yeah, it's made it all worthwhile.
And John's huge effort came with reward on the pitch too, with Notts County beating Maidstone 5-2. A fitting result to remember his dad. Sarah Gom, ITV News.
Finally from me, it was the London Marathon yesterday, and a special congratulations to Dave Winchester from Ashford. We heard from Dave on Friday. He is the Slimming World Man of the Year, having lost 15 stone over a 4-year period. I spoke to him earlier today and he said sometimes he can't quite believe he's lost the weight.
It's hard. I still sometimes feel that size. So I'll be walking down the road. I don't realise I'll be squeezing into spaces, and it takes my wife to take photos of me holding my daughter's hand and sending them to me to say, look, this is what you're like now. So I'm really proud of it. Running down the finishing straight, you've got the grandstands there, you've got people cheering you on, shouting your name, people you don't know just cheering your name. And it's just a buzz, an absolute buzz going over the finish line. It's so good.
Yeah, phenomenal job by Dave and everyone who completed the marathon.
Just brilliant though, isn't
Superb.
he? Andrew, thank you. Thank you. Now, tributes have been paid to Len Goodman from Ightham in Kent, whose death was announced today. He had bone cancer. He died surrounded by his family at a hospice in Tunbridge Wells.
Well, he was, of course, for many years the head judge on Strictly Come Dancing. But as Kit Bradshaw now reports, he was so much more: a fundraiser, a community champion, an inspiration to younger generations, and at one stage the dancing partner of the Queen Consort.
From the head judge's chair, his witty one-liners and friendly critiques charmed contestants and television viewers alike.
Let's hear from our head judge, Len Goodman.
If you don't get 4 tens for that, I'm going to go home and pickle my walnuts.
There, from the very first series in 2004, Len Goodman became as synonymous with Strictly Come Dancing as the glitterball itself.
Und zwar Len Goodman und Cherry Kingston.
As a professional, he competed internationally until he stepped into business, establishing a dance school in Kent. That institution in the centre of Dartford still going to this day.
Do you know, people don't realise I'm much better looking in the flesh.
Away from the shiny studio floors, he was a keen supporter of local charities and organisations, adding his voice to the Silver Song Club at this Age UK Day Centre in Northfleet, a visit still remembered with great fondness.
It was very happy, very jolly. Chatted to all the clients, walked around, talked to everybody. We all sat round, had a sing-song, and he sort of danced and, yeah, it was a really good day.
It was, though, his TV career which made him a household name. And his friendly feedback left a lasting impression on one former contestant.
Well, he was very fair always and very amusing. He once told Anton and me that we were just like hemorrhoids because we would keep coming back and it was always more painful than the time before.
He could put people at ease, whatever their social standing, describing this dance with the Queen Consort, then Duchess of Cornwall, as a lovely moment. Today, Buckingham Palace said Her Majesty was saddened to hear of his death. Len Goodman died on Saturday, surrounded by his family at a hospice in Tunbridge Wells at the age of 78.
I will miss everything about the show, I promise you.
Former colleague Claudia Winkleman said he was one of a kind, a brilliant and kind man, full of twinkle, warmth and wit.
Sad news. Kit Bradshaw with that tribute to Len Goodman, whose death in Kent was announced today.
Weather time now, and Philippa's with us. Pip, it's still not feeling very spring-like, but there is a sign that things are on their way up in the woods.
Yeah, I think we keep saying this, don't we? Yes, but the woodlands are in the swing of spring. Of course, we had the snowdrops earlier in the season. Now it's the turn of the bluebells. They're looking absolutely lovely at the moment, and they're really at their peak for the next sort of 2 to 3 weeks or so before that woodland canopy fills in and plunges them back into darkness. Our viewers have been out, of course, taking some lovely pictures, sending them my way, and this first one comes from Derek, a real carpet of colour there. Of course, many thousands of bluebells can live in just any one woodland, dormant as bulbs for much of the year and then bursting into this sea of colour. And speaking of colour, how about this from Peter Norman? Beautiful colours there. You might just be able to see a bit of pollen peeping out there. Perfect nectar for our pollinators, our bees and butterflies. And if you are out looking at bluebells, then you may be lucky enough to spot the odd white one. Now, these are really rare. It's estimated just 1 in 10,000 bluebells is missing that blue pigment, and Claire Shepherd managed to spot one. But a word of note, although we have over half of the world's bluebells here in the UK, we still need to help them thrive. So it's all about sticking to the well-trodden paths, because trampled bluebells can actually take a good few years to recover.
So pictures, lovely. Weather this week, not particularly so.
Right? No, the weather's not looking so good. Some torrential downpours out there at the moment. Tomorrow a little better. I'd just say make the most of the sunshine tomorrow.
Okay, well, let's get a check on the full forecast. Here's Pip.
Feels like home, whatever the weather. Valent Boilers and Heat Pumps sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
So it looks as though we've got some fairly torrential downpours on the way over the next few hours, perhaps some hail and thunder as well. Tomorrow, a big improvement, drier and brighter all round before we see a return to something more unsettled, but also a little bit milder later in the week. And of course, low pressure very much the culprit. It will never be too far away as we head through the next few days. And certainly towards the end of the week, we've got further frontal systems coming our way, bringing further spells of rain. As I said, though, out there at the moment, some really torrential downpours, hail and thunder thrown in as well. Thankfully, all of that will gradually clear as the night wears on. And with drier conditions following on behind and the cloud thinning and breaking, temperatures will take a bit of a dip. In fact, some inland rural spots possibly just about low enough for a touch of frost by dawn. Tomorrow morning then, a chilly start but a bright start, some lovely sunshine taking us through the first half of the day. Into the afternoon, a bit more cloud starts to bubble up, but it should stay dry. However, even in the best of the sunshine, I think tomorrow a very chilly feel to things. Highs probably 9 to 11 Celsius at best. That's a few degrees below the seasonal average. These are the times of high water for tomorrow, then Brighton around 3 in the morning and just before 3:30 in the afternoon. So tomorrow, arguably the best day of the week. Thereafter, generally more in the way of cloud, further showers or longer spells of rain, at least temperatures showing signs of recovery.
Valent sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
It's not great, is it?
No, but we've got all these bank holidays coming up, so I keep thinking
it's got to get better.
Got to get better.
That is it from us. The ITV Evening News with Mary Nightingale is coming up very shortly.
From all of us here, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.